Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi guys, CeeChronicles here. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I post fragrance related content on this platform and would very much appreciate it if you did consider subscribing. That is, if you are not subscribed. And to those who are already part of the family, thank you so much for coming back. I have an Wataniah for you guys. I sent my son to go buy this perfume because the store sent me a list. I am actually in some group store in my country where they sell Wataniahs, and they sent me a list of the Wataniahs in stock. So when I saw AMNIA, I just rushed for it. I was actually hoping to get the one in the murky bottle, right? But this one is the one that turned up. This one is actually not on the Wataniah page itself on Instagram, but it's on Fragrantica, right? So when it turned up, I was like, oh, okay, fine. It is what it is. We're just going to test it out and see what I think of it. So this is AMNIA, guys, the black one. So when you buy your fragrance, this AMNIA, make sure that you specify, because it looks like there are two AMNIAs. One is in the murky bottle, which kind of looks like a Monster fragrance or something like that, and then there's this one in the black bottle. Good news is it's a fragrance that I love. Now this is the packaging. It sits in there. They did put some effort when it comes to the presentation, because it then comes in a pouch and you open the pouch, and then what you get to when you open the pouch is to this bottle. This bottle has got what seems to be, I think these are like pebbles. It doesn't look like real spices, but it does, just by that, you know, insinuate that this is going to be a spicy fragrance. Now, I'm already wearing this as my fragrance of the day, so I'm going to respray it again and then tell you my thoughts. Now, let me say something. That is a bit of an overspray based on the DNA, right? So back to the presentation. I hope these pebbles do not block this fragrance, you know, atomizer with time, because some of the fragrances that come like this do end up blocking the straw. Now, this is centered on white florals. What you're going to get immediately there is a burst of white florals, especially that tuberose in its intensity, working together with an orange blossom. So it's going to be very heady there in the white florals and very bold in the white florals. But it's not just the white florals that you're going to enjoy with this. As you have that opening of that tuberose and the orange blossom, enters an obvious spicy kick in this fragrance, right? The spice is listed on, or the spice listed on Fragrantica is actually that of pink pepper. I'm not getting a pink pepper in its prominence. I am getting a pink pepper that's coming across as having that rosy nuance, as though there is a rose added to this than the actual pink pepper. The actual spice I'm actually getting in here is a black pepper, you know, or at least how I perceive black pepper in a fragrance, but nonetheless it is a spicy fragrance. So this becomes a spicy floral, okay? But it doesn't end there. There's a sweetness that wraps this floral around. There's a headiness that wraps this floral around. There is a tonka as well that ties things down there. So it is immediately a fragrance that interprets as a heavyweight, if you will, more so in the sense that the patchouli in here is not guarded. They have used the patchouli in here in generous doses, and by that I'm saying I think it is possibly an Wataniah thing where they do kind of go a little bit generous there when it comes to the patchouli. So the patchouli is going to stand out there. Whether it's going to bother some people or it's going to be a fave, I don't know, but it is adding to a heaviness of this fragrance. It is adding to a longevity and the projection of this fragrance, because this then becomes that bold white floral that projects for at least 3 hours straight. So for what you pay versus what you get, this is certainly value for money, right? The DNA in itself does not come across as outright similar to, let's say, gazillion DNAs out there, which is one thing that I liked about it. I was also concerned because the fact that they gave us an AMNIA in a cream or light bottle or box, and then gave us this one in a black box, I thought this was going to be masculine, but I don't get a masculine toned DNA, guys, in this particular fragrance. I actually get something that is very, very feminine toned, unless you're a man and you like bold florals, because that is what you are going to get. But it doesn't end with the florals, guys. It does dry down, of course, carrying that floral theme, meaning this fragrance does maintain the fact that it is a floral, especially a white floral. So don't worry about the rosy nuance I was talking about. I was just explaining that in the sense that the pink pepper to my nose comes across as, yes, spicy, but it's got like a rosy nuance or rosy undertone to it. What I get in its prominence there is kind of like a sharpness, like a stimulating feel of a spice, which is what I usually get from a black pepper. So that is what I'm extracting more than I am extracting the pink pepper. But to some people, it's not going to matter. What is going to matter is this is a spicy fragrance. It's a feminine toned fragrance. And then in the wrap up of this is going to be an inclusion of a soft feel of an almond. So some of you are going to extract a nuttiness from this, like a nutty wrap up, but it's not a nuttiness that is in the forefront. It kind of just fuses with the florals to kind of work with the theme of this fragrance or what is already happening with this fragrance. So it does not then separate the theme of this fragrance where, for instance, it starts as a floral and ends up as a nutty fragrance. No, it just then has an inclusion of wafts or a wrap up of a nuttiness, a nutty tone there, but the nuttiness is quite soft, bouncing off that almond. And at some points I can say there is a little bit as well of a bitter tone in this, but that bitter tone could be coming again maybe from the tonka in here is sweet. The patchouli is not green, it's just quite heady there. So there is maybe wafts of a bitter thing, just a little bit of bitter thing that you might be feeling there, but I think it's also bouncing off that almond note. In a nutshell, that is what to expect from this fragrance. It does give me a fragrance that is going to be appropriate, especially in cooler weather, because of the sharpness of it, because of the piercing wrap up of it, because of the floral tone of it, and the spiciness of it. So this is going to most likely be a fragrance, unless of course you spray it, in smaller doses. If you're going to go to town with it, it's certainly not going to bother anyone around you if you wear it in cooler weather, because it is quite, a fragrance that speaks. So it's certainly a fragrance that you want to be maybe mindful of the people around you when you, spray this one, especially in the heat. But for those who like heady, bold, in your face, beast mode fragrances, this is certainly going to work, whatever type of weather. But as I said, this does give me a feminine tone or feminine wrap up all through. And then the vanilla is also there in the mix, just kind of tying everything together, where yes, for some it's going to come across as a vanilla scent. I'm just getting a vanilla here that is just kind of in tandem, just working together with everything else, complementing the sweetness of the tonka, complementing that patchouli, complementing that nutty tone, as well as the floral. So that is in a nutshell what you get from this. The DNA is not as common as some of the DNAs that we've had on the market, but at the same time it's not one that I would particularly call unique. The first thing that came to mind when I sprayed this fragrance was a Roberto Cavalli that I used to own some time ago. It kind of vibes in that way, but I wouldn't call it a fragrance that is say a clone of that. I'm just going to say you love that Roberto Cavalli, love that style of fragrance, then you will probably know what I'm trying to maybe describe in this, but without you say buying this expecting it to turn out and be exactly like that. I am just giving you a mental shortcut of what to expect, because when we bring fragrances here and it's mostly florals and spices and that, sometimes a mental shortcut becomes very difficult there to envision what the fragrance, or to kind of have a smeller vision of what the fragrance is going to be like. So I'm going to say it's going to be one that if you like that Roberto Cavalli DNA, and I know there's a lot of Roberto Cavallis, but I think this is Roberto Cavalli. I think that's the one I'm talking about. If you like that style of DNA, you're probably gonna love this fragrance. Nice, not common, but not very unique as well, but nicely done by our Wataniah, also priced right. So do check it out if you haven't. I will still hunt for that AMNIA, the one in on the Instagram picture, it looks as though it's in a murky bottle or a frosted bottle or something like that. I can't really make out what it is, but it does look like it's in a clear, like a clear with a murky juice or something like that. So I'm interested in those type of fragrances, because what immediately comes to mind there is probably going to be a gourmand. So I don't know. I hope I'm going to get that one. But as for this particular store where I bought this one, they do not have it. So I'm going to maybe search for that one online and then bring the two and try to compare compare, you know, how they fare right here. As I said, I'm going to be exploring some Wataniahs with you guys, because I have noticed that this house is might not be that present when it comes to being pushy on social media, but they do have a couple of gems there on the market. And what I like about the majority of the Wataniahs that I have actually gotten my hands on is they do not turn up to, they don't seem like they're going for the obvious, you know, DNAs. There will be a couple of DNAs, of course, that you will find there that are already overly done or washed up, like the My Way DNA. They have one that smells like that. They have another one that smells like the Amani C. But Amani C, I don't think was a DNA that I would call washed up. So I think they are being a little bit picky when it comes to the DNAs that they're going for, which is a good thing when it comes to, you know, some of these Middle Eastern fragrances. And no, I'm not saying this is a clone. This could very well be their own standalone. I'm just now talking in general about the house of Wataniah. Lasting power on this, guys, based on your sprays. Let's say you go 8 sprays. I think this fragrance would likely, you know, be lively for 3 hours straight, after which it becomes a subtle or a general lingering white floral around you, pushing it up to possibly 8 hours. If you're an oversprayer, this is most likely going to last till the next wash. So that is what I can say, guys, about Wataniah's AMNIA. Okay, Wataniah's AMNIA. So do expect more Wataniahs on this channel, because I am getting my hand, you know, on a lot of Wataniahs. So do expect a lot of Wataniahs. And yes, another clarification, the spiciness that you're going to get in here is not a Middle Eastern tone of spiciness. This is a Western toned fragrance. So when I say it's spicy, I'm not talking about the woody leaning spices or the cinnamons and stuff. This is purely to my nose, you know, like a piercing sharp spice, which is what I get mostly from black pepper. CeeChronicles is my name. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's meet in the comment section where we discuss more about fragrances. Remember to turn on post notifications. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Like and share this one, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.